Prakash Diwan is also with us. Prakash, hi, good evening. How does the stock react Monday morning based on these numbers?
I guess at least one saving grace is that it's not kind of disappointing, and I believe that the way the stock has moved in the last week or so, there was this expectation that things could kind of be great, but at the same time the fact that they're not bad either mean that the stock would probably be in a little bit of a positive territory, at least going forward.
Deven, what's your word? Oil and gas has come out of nowhere really, and that's leading to this beat on net profit apart from higher other income. What's your call now after seeing this kind of earnings?
It's good evening, Anuj. Well, I think would like to wait for the management commentary to come out, I think, before making any comment on the oil and gas part and the margin part. I have briefly gone through it. I think we have been expecting some amount of volume ramp up coming up for the oil and gas, and at the same time I think we have been expecting some better performance coming up. But honestly, I think the margin upside, I think we'll certainly try and take the call from the management side as to whether there is some exceptional items out here or there are some sustainable items, I think, which could possibly take the margin on a higher side. But broadly, the performance of the company has been in line with our expectations. In fact, I think when we spoke, probably, I think we said that the targeted profit, I think, which we had put across was 5,492 crores. Vis-a-vis that, the profit has come at 5,510 crores. So it is broadly in line with our expectation, as I would call it. But I think the oil and gas part is pleasantly surprised, so for sure.
Yeah, Prakash, a word on this whole oil and gas factor. Do you think that would be a big trigger going forward?
It should. See, I mean, more importantly, as Deven also pointed out, whether this is a sustainable beginning of a trend or it's just kind of a one-off, because these kind of high 30s for EBIT margins to kind of come off a business which was struggling all the while means that we are very clearly looking at the largest potential contributor to start getting into a phase where it really delivers. And if that were to happen, it could be exponential and just not linear in terms of the growth the stock could kind of start seeing forward. But of course, as I said, the key is, are we seeing this quarter on quarter, or is it just kind of an aberration this quarter and probably it pans out very differently in the next one? So the continuity is going to be the key factor in the management commentary.
And that's the point I want to discuss now. Yes, the point is taken that oil and gas is doing well. The market in any case has high hopes from the business going forward. But Petchem quite clearly this quarter is a big disappointment. 8.4% margin. Yes, last quarter was a one-off 10% margins, but are you negatively surprised by this 8.4% number? And do you think that somehow offsets what has come from the oil and gas space?
Well, I think once again, I think it is quite important to know that I think when the company is progressing ahead with, I think, a capacity expansion and other programs, I think, is it, I think, something which the margin would probably, I think, come up in subsequent quarter or not? I think that's something which we would like to pick up from the management commentary. But more importantly, I think on the petrochemical side, I think I am relatively more bullish than otherwise. I believe that I think going forward, the way in which I think the feedstock management is going to take over the current feedstock cost, I think they are likely to increase the delta there, and probably I think margins would increase significantly. So to my mind, I think Petchem is going to be, in fact, I think money spinner going forward. May not happen in 14-15 financial year fully, but maybe I think in 15-16 financial year, I think the full year probably you should see the kind of a reflection into the higher margins from Petchem side, and that could be, I think, quite a smart amount of profit jump coming in from Petchem. So I'm relatively more confident than otherwise.
All right, so for viewers who would have joined late, let me just go through the numbers one more time. Net profit of 5,500 crores versus CNBC TV 18 poll of 5,300 crores and versus last quarter number of 5,490 crores, which in itself was a beat on the estimate. So quite clearly they have beaten the estimate. But if you look at the internals of the numbers, there are clearly two opposing factors. Okay, refining is in line with the estimates, so gross refining margin of $7.6 per barrel. That's pretty much in line with the estimate. That EBITDA performance is in line. The two parameters which have been slightly opposite to each other have been petchem and oil and gas. Petchem has disappointed, 8.4% operating margin, which has resulted in the EBIT performance of petchem being over 100 crore lower than what the market was expecting. On the other hand, you have oil and gas, which is quite clearly not just on the volume, on the top line front, has also managed to beat on the bottom line front, and that's why there's been a beat of about 150 to 200 crores because of oil and gas business. In addition to that, there's been a jump in interest income. So if you're a believer in the stock, you want to look at the oil and gas business and say that things are looking up. If you are skeptical on the stock, you're looking at the petchem performance and saying that, look, the core business is not doing well. And if you're a neutral, you would say that the numbers are in line with estimates. You can take your pick at this point in time. Prakash, does the stock break the range, or is it back to 800 to 900 kind of range for the stock?
No, I would believe it does. It does. See, I'll tell you why. As you said, you look at the glass half full, half empty. The petchem business probably this quarter has let you down in terms of the margins, but globally the kind of capacities that exist and which would kind of mature in terms of efficiency bands, the ideal efficiency band which Reliance is gunning for in the petchem business, especially with its product mix, I think would start showing some numbers, very decent growth towards the end of calendar 14. And till then, you would probably see some of these ups and downs, some sort of corrective kind of moves. But once the petchem business also matures, then you have a straight line growth from there on, which is significant. So I would believe you buy a stock with that in mind. And of course, oil and gas also starts kind of chugging along.
By the way, it looks like, Deven, what's your house call now on the stock? Do you think it's going towards breaking that range anytime soon based on these numbers, or would you wait for next couple of quarters once the gas price hike also kicks in and look for those numbers before taking a call?
As of now, Anuj, the house call is accumulate, and it will continue to accumulate in the range of 840, 860 whenever the market gives opportunity at such levels. However, we would like to take a call on this particular stock to upgrade, I think, and to buy. Probably, I think, once we get the commentary in positive about the launch of the 4G business. Already, I think we hear that the retail business has started picking up, and I think it is on a retail in a faster growth at this point of time. The results generally get consolidated at the end of the year, along with the shell gas business. So I think these two areas, I think, would probably give a larger amount of confidence to investors. At the same time, I think, re-rate the stock going forward. So we would probably, I think, upgrade it to buy, I think, at a later point of time once we know these parts very clearly. Sure. As of now, it is accumulate.
All right, and that's gone to about 12. Prakash, you've been smiling. A word on this development.
I'm wondering whether we should even call it a cap. I mean, 12 cylinders for a family the whole year. Virtually, it's going back to square one. I mean, so 1 year you've kind of basked in the limelight of reforming a very difficult space. Suddenly you go back 2 spaces, as Mr. Tulchandra. It's like just going backwards with a much more ferocity than what you would have otherwise done. Sure. I mean, it's a ridiculous move for of course these companies, and if all the burden goes on to ONGC and Oil India along with buying out IOC and all stuff like that. This is one of the reasons why some of the greatest companies in this sector don't have any takers.
Amrish, Prakash, last word to you. Monday morning, how does the stock react?
I think, importantly, it doesn't slip further down. That's for sure.
But it doesn't re-rate further.
Yeah, but it may not move on Monday necessarily, but it will see some more accumulation going forward.
All right, Prakash.